Good morning and welcome to the Western Antique Aeroplane and Automobile Museum Fly-In 2009. At this time we would like to present a ceremony. We are going to replace the flag that is hanging now with a new flag. We will hoist that flag to the peak and go to half-staff, at which time we'll observe a moment of silence in memory of the victims of 9/11. After which we will continue to the beacon ceremony, and Jean Raines has done a very nice job of setting this thing up, and I will pass the microphone to her and she can tell you a little more.
Thank you, Ken. Well, thanks everybody for coming out today. It's just been a real surprise and pleasant honor for us at the museum that WAAAM decided that on the morning of their fly-in that they would use this day to dedicate the beacon, which has been at the museum since 1982. So we will begin the program, as Ken said, after we do a moment of silence in honor of 9/11. So if you'll turn and face the flag, we'll have a brief ceremony. Thank you. And the volunteers at WAAAM for that beautiful flag ceremony. So again, I thank you all for coming to the dedication of this beacon that has been with the History Museum since 1982. And I would like to just give you a quick overview of what we're going to talk about, and then we're going to let our speakers get going. First, we're going to hear from Chris Parks. Chris is a renowned expert on the beacons of the Columbia River Gorge and their significance to our region. He'll talk briefly on that. Roger Schock is here, and Roger was part of the original team in 1982 that went out to Wyatt and helped attach this thing to a Chinook helicopter and fly it to the History Museum. So he's got a story or two that he's going to share with us about that day. Connie Nice, who's the museum coordinator for the History Museum of Hood River County, is going to speak a little bit about what this has meant to us at the museum. And then following that, County Commissioner Barbara Briggs will hand off to Terry Brandt the official scroll dedicating the beacon to WAAAM. So if Chris is here, there he is.
Thank you. Good morning. Welcome to the 2009 fly-in here at WAAAM. I'm going to give you a brief overview of the history of the airway beacons. And our country was expanding massively and quickly in the early 1900s, as you all know, and our postal system was in place. World War I was over basically, and we had a lot of decent airplanes back from World War I and some trainers available, pilots were ready, and our postal service was anxious to move mail throughout the country. The second assistant to the postal general had this vision of moving mail by the air. They had some feasibility studies that they put together in May of 1918, and they were going to take an airplane out of Washington, D.C., move it through Philadelphia and over to New York, and have the same being done out of New York through Philly down to Washington. A very green pilot just out of Air Cadet School named Lieutenant Boyle was selected to move the mail out of D.C., out of the polo fields there where they used as an airstrip, take it up to Philly and over to New York. A little foggy on that morning. Lieutenant Boyle initially headed to the northeast, somehow got mixed up and was headed southwest. Not long after, it was less than 30 minutes later, he had landed in a field and put the Jenny up on the nose, the Jenny much like ours in the hangar here, and broke the prop, and so our first mail delivery by air was not successful as far as Lieutenant Boyle was concerned. We did have another mail carrier that did leave New York, did get the mail down to Washington, D.C. successfully, so that was considered a success.
Okay, Roger Schock, I saw you a little while ago. Roger's going to give us a couple of stories about moving the beacon.
So I need to know, is there anybody who was on the museum board when this decision was made way back when? I'm guessing not. Where's Virginia? Oh, Kate in Virginia. Neat. So the question I've got for you is, did you know this was going to happen before it happened? Did you really? You gave your approval? Well, the reason I'm asking is, and it's good that you're here, Kate, because you can verify all this. John Hounsell was my employer, along with Dick Nichols. They co-owned the Nichols Boat Works, and one morning I showed up at work, as I usually did, early, because John had coffee made. And in order to drink his free coffee, I had to listen to his stories. One of them was how he used to be a postal pilot in the gorge. And I learned about that after he had purchased this one for $1, because nobody else wanted it, and it needed to come down, and it was perched way up high on the side of the gorge at Wyeth. So what are you going to do with it, John? Well, he says, I'm going to have you guys climb up the side of the gorge and take it loose. And then I'm going to have a helicopter come by and pick it up and bring it up here, and we're going to put it at the museum. So I'm wondering, does anybody at the museum know about this? If you knew John, you would understand that sometimes he did things. He committed people to a course of action before they knew it. And so I've always wondered about this. Anyhow, the job was to climb up the side of the gorge, take it loose, and we did that. The other team was in Hood River waiting for it at the museum.
I'm going to ask Barbara Briggs and Dave Merriweather to come join me up here, because they're both carrying something important that belongs with this program. So I was told I had about 5 minutes. I'll try to make it. The Museum of Hood River County is gifting this wonderful artifact, the Wyeth Airway Beacon, to the Western Antique Airplane and Automobile Museum. Why? Because we believe it's not about us, it's not even about Terry Brand, it's not even about WAAM, it's about what is the best thing we can do for this beautiful artifact to preserve it for future generations. And it's our belief, it's the museum's belief, the county's belief, that that story can best be told here, where aviation is alive, and where the story blends in a symphony with all of the stories of the pilots that flew through the gorge, guided by this beacon on those dark nights to deliver our mail. This gift from the county, from the museum board, from our staff, and from the volunteers, many of which are here today, is for you. It's for this community. It's for the future of this community. And Terry, I ask you today to dedicate yourself and everyone in your organization to continue that legacy and to continue to tell that story for years to come. This is our legacy, and today we're going to pass it on to you. So if you'd like to step forward, the first thing I'm going to have Dave hand you is a wonderful little packet, and inside here are all the service and maintenance records that we have for this beacon, and the key, the key to the electrical box.
On behalf of Hood River County, I'm honored to have this opportunity to officially gift this wonderful artifact to WAAM in tribute to its significance to our history and the history of aviation.
Thank you. As Connie has asked, you can rest assured that the beacon will be well looked after. We have a good staff of volunteers that are gearing up to clean it up, paint it, and get it operational. And hopefully next year when you come, we'll actually be able to see it work. Thank you all for coming.
All right, thank you all so much for coming. Enjoy your time here at WAAM, and when you're through at WAAM, come on down to the History Museum. Thank you. Have a good day.